you talk about the allegations in the police report, the sexual assault allegations?
We weren't specific, but, since no charges were brought to the authorities, we have only the press reports.
Should you have gotten into some of those specifics? Would that be a more fulsome adjudication of his nomination?
We'll be looking to have a fulsome...
We'll be looking to have a fulsome... something. Hi again, everybody. 5 o'clock in New York. That's the incoming chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. His name's Roger Wicker, and he is from Mississippi. He is among the senators meeting with Donald Trump's pick to head the Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth. He was on the Hill today, seemingly agreeing that a more fulsome look into Hegseth is what's needed, considering that last night the Monterey, California Police Department released the full record of the 2017 police investigation in which a woman alleged that Hegseth sexually assaulted her. Hegseth denied the assault occurred, saying the sexual encounter was consensual and no charges were filed, but he did confirm that the woman was paid an undisclosed amount of money in a settlement. The newly released 22-page police report includes some disturbing and very graphic details. It says that an emergency room nurse contacted the police after a woman came in saying she had been sexually assaulted by a man days prior, who she identified as Pete Hegseth. The woman, identified only as Jane Doe, said she met Hegseth at a hotel where he was speaking at an event she attended. Jane Doe said that night Hegseth was acting inappropriately with women, and she actually confronted him about that behavior. She acknowledged consuming much more alcohol than normal that day and said things became fuzzy, but then said she found herself in an unknown room. She told police that Hegseth took her phone from her and then physically blocked her attempt to leave the room. She detailed the assault and remembered saying no a lot. The report also includes Hegseth's account of what happened that night. He told police he had drank beer and that what had transpired with the woman was consensual. His lawyer said in a statement today, this, quote, "This police report confirms what I've said all along. The incident was fully investigated and police found the allegation to be false, which is why no charges were filed," end quote. But that is not what any page of the police report actually says. In fact, they do not give a reason for not charging Pete Hegseth. The details in the new report assure this will complicate what has already been a challenging confirmation process ahead for Mr. Hegseth. Earlier on the Hill, he was questioned about the allegation.
Did you sexually assault a woman in Monterey, California?
I have, as far as the media is concerned, it's very simple. The matter was fully investigated, and I was completely clear, and that's where I'm leaving.
It's where we start the hour with some of our favorite experts and friends. Retired U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath is here. Also joining us, Professor of History at NYU, Ruth Ben-Ghiat is here. And former RNC spokesman, host of the Bulwark podcast, Tim Miller, is still with us. Amy McGrath, your thoughts?
Well, the first thing is, if Pete Hegseth, what would happen if this happened while he was in the military and the military found out about it? What would happen to a rank and file person in the military, okay? As an officer, people need to know that you basically would not be promoted. You would probably lose your command opportunities. And even if there was a settlement, why? Why is that? Because you can't set the example. Nicole, we have a sexual assault problem in the military already. And how are we going to have a leader who's known to have these sexual assault allegations? The military doesn't want to promote people like that. And so it's about leadership and it's about character. And I certainly hope that these members of Congress on the Republican side who actually care about the military, many of them have served in the military, they understand these items or values of integrity and character. I hope they reject this nomination.
I've read the police report for a variety of reasons. Some of the most graphic things, they are available. It's been released by the police department. There's some redactions, but you get a pretty clear sense of this. Ruth, Jane Doe went to the emergency room and requested what gets shorthanded as a rape kit. It's an exam, and it proves the existence of semen. She took that test, and that is a known fact. The emergency room contacted the police. That is a known fact. Charges were not pressed. But again, as with Matt Gaetz, what's fascinating about Trump 2.0 is that one alleged child sex trafficker, maybe it's just a guy he really, really likes, one alleged sex trafficker, one investigated for sexual assault TV host who paid money to the woman who made the allegations, and a vice president who believes women should stay in violent marriages instead of getting divorced. Feels like a brand that Donald Trump is very comfortable being associated with. What do you think?
Yeah, well, part of the Harris-Walz campaign was we aren't going back. And the Trump-Vance administration is, we are going to take you back. And this reflects, these appointments or nominations reflect values of male domination, the idea that the strongman doesn't have to ask for consent, either in politics or in the bedroom. And this is a kind of lawless, masculinity and misogyny. Pete Hegseth doesn't believe women should be in combat. And that's a very important fact about him, too. I see why this came out after they had nominated him. And I see, why they wanted him, because they are considering a very radical shift for the military's function in American life to be used domestically. This is a very big deal. And so who better than a smooth talking, practiced dissembler, because he works for Fox News, to sell this to the American people. But we also have to see what values these individuals as individuals bring to the table. And here he fits the Trump worldview, which is machismo and misogyny.
Tim Miller, your thoughts on any and all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe an important perspective or one way to look at this, to just show how absurd of a nomination this is let's look at this story from Pete Hegseth's perspective. Like, here's what Pete Hegseth is pitching people what happened in this situation. In this situation, he's drunk at a conservative conference. At 1:30 a.m., he's screaming about how he has freedom of speech and berating a hotel staffer. Then he takes a woman back to his hotel room for what he says is consensual sex. At the moment that that's happening, he is in between marriages. I think actually he's still technically married to his second wife, but that marriage is they're getting divorced because he had a child with someone that works for him, who then became his third wife. And in the meantime, he's drunkenly, doing whatever with the woman, Jane Doe, who's alleged sexual assault and what he says is consensual at a hotel in California, that he's under the age of 40. I mean, I'm not judging anybody that's been divorced or whatever. Like, this guy's life is a disaster. And this guy's personal life is a total disaster. And he has a love child, and he's in between marriages, and he's drunkenly shouting at hotel staff, and he's having another affair, meanwhile, with not one of the three women that are his wives. And so it's like, somebody whose personal life is that much of a disaster, would you want them in one of the most important jobs in the world? I mean, maybe if they had the resume for it and they demonstrated the judgment in their work life that they haven't shown in their personal life. But he's a talk show host. He's a weekend morning talk show host. Like, this is a preposterous pick on every level. Like, he's not qualified for the job, and the judgment that he's shown privately leaves much to be desired. The only cover that he had for this nomination was the existence of Matt Gaetz, which is now gone because the people on the Hill, Republicans on the Hill, hated Matt Gaetz. So now that this sees the light of day, I don't know what the pitch. I just gave you the pitch for Pete Hegseth. Like, what is the pitch that he has to offer that he should be in charge of the Pentagon?